Okay, well, I've got to be on the phone internet service for this one. You're going to hear a lot of wind in the background. We're having a really big windstorm. I guess a fairly good sized storm is on its way in, some possible snow and rain next week coming in from the west coast. So, anyway, if there's any of that background noise, I apologize. Today is the 10th of March, 2023. I'm Roy Potter. Welcome as you come in. If you do come in, if we're actually up, looks like we are now. Uh, I am not a financial guy. Good morning, everybody. Hello, everybody. I'm not a financial guy. I've told you about that before. You know, that's a lazy man's way out. I should study financial systems and financial instruments and things like that, investments and that kind of thing. But I've just never done it for lots of reasons, which I won't get into. However, I am aware of how these things are manipulated to steal from you. And if you're watching this right now, we had the Silicon Valley Bank lose $10 billion overnight. They had $16 billion in assets. They dropped down to $6 billion, and that was as of yesterday. No telling what's happening this morning. The markets are responding to that, and it's real bad. Uh, Also, people that have invested in different types of cryptocurrencies are losing out there as well. If you've bought gold or silver and it's in a vault somewhere, you've bought it from a company that says they'll keep it safe for you, but you buy into it and you're not holding it in your hands, you don't own it. And they could take it and run with it. They could be doing the same thing that the banks do with fiat currency, or the way that the Templars, when they got corrupted, did it back in the medieval ages, where they would sell these banknotes saying that you had money in the bank when in fact they had used it already and nothing really backed it. Well, that's happening to cryptocurrency and gold and silver right now, not just the fiat currency, the Federal Reserve notes, etc. Again, I'm not a financial guy. I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm telling you that it looks real bad. I've already mentioned about, we had the bank bailouts in 2008 and some other things since then, and now the Congress has allowed them to doing the banks to do bank bail-ins to steal your money that you've deposited in the bank. And the little fine print says it's theirs, it's not yours. They can use it anytime they want, and they don't have to give it back apparently, even if the FDIC insures a large amount of it. Now, of course, there are limits. I mean, if you've got $10,000 in the bank, that's probably going to be okay. But I wouldn't even bet on that at this point. And again, I'm not a financial guy, but things are looking real bad. Dabu7, if you follow him on YouTube and on Twitter, very up to date guy. He's always got good information. I don't know him personally, but I've watched him for years, and he's been pretty well spot on, especially on this type of thing. And also, of course, you might want to look and I forget the name of it right now, but anyway, so Dabu7 has come out and warned about the same thing, and he actually came out in a tweet today, or maybe it was a YouTube video, and he says, "Look, we've been warning about this bank failure for a long time. We've had all the indications that this thing was coming. It was when it finally hit big, it was going to be bad." And he says, "We're there, and you have no excuse for not being able to act on it prior to this, and it may be too late now." So. Uh, just I thought I'd better come on, even though I'm not a financial guy, and just let you know that these things are happening. They've done all this stuff around the world to try to seize as much as they can prior to this thing falling. And what are they seizing? Your treasure. And they want to shed your blood. How long have I been saying that? A very long time. So I may not understand the financial situation as well as I should, but I do know the objectives of all of that. I can see it. It's very obvious. As Gerald Celente said, when they can't hide it anymore, they take you to war. So they take your mind off of it. Of course, then it just ends up being even worse because these bloodthirsty vampires that run the world, they don't give a crap about you, and we've said that for a long time. So at any rate, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. In the description box below is Jesse's uh, YouTube video from this morning. That's BP Earthwatch. It's a short one. I think it's about 7 minutes, 10 minutes long, something like that. It'll give you some really good background. Jesse has a really good handle on this. Again, he's not a financial advisor, but he can tell you what's going on. He doesn't give you any advice as to what to do other than, like I just said, if you can't hold it in your hand, you don't own it. Somebody else is probably selling your. They did it with real estate here a few years ago. Do you remember this during the 2008 whole deal there? What the banks were doing and the mortgage companies, they were the big firms were reselling the same mortgage to like 10 different banking companies or 10 different mortgage companies, the same mortgage. Well, they're doing the same thing with your gold and silver and with your cryptocurrency apparently. I mean, this is bad. And governments want to go to digital currency to control it? No, they just want to steal more. That's what it's all about. So, as hard as it's going to be to get yourselves ready for what's coming, you got to have physical contact. Imagine me using an allegory like that. You have to have it physically in your possession, or you don't have it. Okay. Now there might be good organizations out there that will take care of you and are just and are honest and all that, but you know what? I don't think I'd depend on that very highly. I think I'd be very careful. Zero Hedge has been covering this big time in the last couple of days or so. I couldn't even get through it. It was so technical on the financial side. I mean, it had probably, if I actually got down and studied it, sentence by sentence and paragraph by paragraph, it would probably have taken me an hour or two to get through it. And I already know that I'm not in those investments, so I really don't care. All right, I don't do that stuff. So for those of you who do, just a word to the wise. Again, government can steal anything it wants under color of law. So there's really no thing that I can see that's absolutely safe. But I definitely get into food supply, barterable items, those little, for instance, those little mini bottles of liquor. Even if you don't drink, they're good things to trade. Whatever you can that you can trade for what you need and help you make the things that you need anytime that you run low on something. Of course, growing your own food and jurisdictions now, that's even illegal. You see, they're really attacking you at every possible level they can because you are the enemy. And I've been saying this for how many years, ladies and gentlemen? A long time. And I hate to be a purveyor of bad news, but it's just obvious. It's just so obvious if you just look. So, as I said, the bail-ins have been happening where the banks have been taking your money. Wells Fargo and Bank of America did it here about 3 weeks ago, a month ago. And I think you're going to see a lot more of this kind of thing happening. The whole system is starting to react and starting to have the bottoms drop out. So get tangible items. Real estate, yeah, I think that's good, of course. If you can invest in real estate, I mean, it's out of sight now most everywhere. And I'm not talking about buying houses. I'm talking about buying a place where you can get to and maybe grow some food, get some water, get some fuel, some wood or something to keep warm. But they're going to come after that too. That's what Agenda 2020 and 2030 is all about, right? It's trying to get you off the land and get you into these little tiny, even Trump's now pushing these little cities, these little, I forget what they call them right now, but these little smart cities that are small where, you can, maybe a square mile of city and all of it, whatever you need will be there. So you walk everywhere, no driving, they're just trying to shut everything down. It's real obvious because they're getting caught with their pants down, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this Nordstream pipeline thing. This absurd story that the CIA came up with. I'm sure it was them, even if they didn't want to do it, they probably did. That this thing was done by 6 people on a yacht, carrying thousands of pounds of explosives on a yacht under the cover of the U.S. and NATO navies operating in the Baltics last summer on an exercise, and that they somehow have the ability to remotely control the explosion. Months later, this is all BS, ladies and gentlemen. It's all BS. The cover story is so obviously false that it only leaves one other possibility, and that is that Seymour Hersh has got it right, and NATO is warring against itself. NATO went to war against Germany under the pretense that it was after Russia. It may have been after Russia, but the real deal is, of course, Germany was the economic powerhouse of Europe, and there are other nations, apparently Norway is one of them, that's jealous of that and wants to take. I mean, this whole thing. There's no working amongst the nations to better your life. It's all fighting for power and control and wealth. And I'm going to say it. I'll get a lot of people upset. Mass murder is a sacrifice to their God. If you don't understand that by now, you got a lot of studying to do. Okay, I'm going to be done here. I'm going to go ahead and do some things today. Try to take advantage of some time. You know, the storm's coming in. Maybe it's not going to do me much good to get out and try to mingle around. But I'm going to. I need a break from all of this because I do watch it pretty closely. Not so much the financial things, but all the other stuff. I appreciate last night after I got done with the live stream. You know, I don't usually go back and look at comments or even in the chat, but I've been doing that a little bit more lately. And there were a lot of people that gave me their condolences on the loss of my wife, Carol. And everything I say about her is true. And I wrote a comment and pinned it on the last YouTube video, the one I did yesterday, explaining that I'm not idealizing her because she's gone, you know, and only remembering the good times. No, no, everybody that knew Carol, including kids by other mothers, my own kids by other mothers, they all call her the most wonderful and amazing woman that they ever knew. Okay? And everything there that I put in that comment, on the pinned comment on the last video, is absolutely true. But anyway, those people who are giving me their condolences and all that, I appreciate it. And they say I'll find somebody else. I don't hold anybody to the Carol same level. I just don't. But by the same token, I don't. I'm still picky. Okay, so and I think that's a necessary thing. You know, it's kind of like, you know, do you like peanut butter or do you like to swim? What? What's that? My brother was kind of funny. He died a few years ago. He had a stroke. He worked too hard and he didn't take care of himself. But uh, he used to play these little mind games, illogic comparisons, and that's one of the things he used to say. Well, do you like peanut butter or do you like to swim? Yeah, I know it's non-coherent. I know, but that's the whole point. At any rate, I thought I'd just, you know, mention that to you. It's just to make you think, what the hell are you talking about? Uh, I can play games with people's minds. I usually don't do that, but sometimes it's fun as long as you let them know that that's what you're doing, right? Okay. So anyway, again, I appreciate all the wonderful things about Carol. And I know one lady said, you know, Carol's not the only one. There are a lot of, she said, there are a lot of us out there. She was referring to, she considers herself to be like that. And I'm sure that's the case. But you know, there's always more to those situations than you can actually explain, and it takes some time to ferret those things out. So, at any rate, thank you all for being so kind, uh, and you know, myself and my family appreciates the fact that you all um, said those things. We used to say, "Do you have my what? My round to it?" Yeah, better to be alone than with the wrong mate. And and of course, a lot of the advice in the, I'm going to call them the scriptures, but a lot of the advice there, that's really what it's talking about. You know, to be with somebody that's not really um, compatible is a bad thing, and that's why I talk about the things the way I do. And that's why I haven't. I rushed into, didn't rush. It was 2 years later. I did get into a relationship for a while. But I'm not going to give all the details of that. But it was really not a good situation, even though the lady was absolutely gorgeous, like Carol. Um, Certainly not as uh, honest and as um, caring for other people and as unselfish as Carol was, and those types of things. But again, I don't consider it necessary for everybody to be to that level. But you know, there is a standard, and unfortunately, that standard that lady held was too low for me, and I finally had to break the bonds there, which was heartbreaking. But under the same thing, you know, she was actually committing a form of fornication. I'm not saying it was sexual. I'm not saying it, but that type of thing where there were things happening that were detrimental and intentionally so. So, All right, I don't mean to get back on that subject again. Check this financial thing out. Look at BP Earthwatch's Jesse's video in the description box below. Go to uh, Zero Hedge to look at that. I think you can find that link also on Dabu Seven's YouTube site as well. And you can probably just look it up, Zero Hedge on the bank, the SVP, the Silicon Valley Bank. Okay, things are falling apart, and it's not by accident. They're doing it by design. Uh, I mean, look at it. Look what's happening. They can print billions and trillions of dollars worth out of nothing. Why are you paying taxes if they can print trillions of dollars to pay people during the quarantine? I guess I'll put it that way, that we went through, just to mince up words here, or send it to Ukraine, for instance. Then they launder it and all that. Why are they coming after you and demanding that you pay taxes to a government that just prints money anytime it wants? And if they're going to go to a situation where, they do this thing where you get a check every month for your subsistence from the government, if that's really how it works, why are they going to tax you? Right, the universal basic income. Well, then why are they stealing money? Why are they demanding money from you? It's to control you. It has nothing to do with what they need. It has to do with keeping you so that you aren't in competition with them and that you can call them out. That's all I got for you. I'm going to go. Have a great day. If I don't see you this weekend, have a good weekend as well. Again, check the video out in the description box below. As a heads up, as Jesse would say on BP Earthwatch, and to help protect your assets. Out here for now. We'll see you. Take care.